Hi Whovians, Harry here, and welcome to my review of the finale, the final episode of Doctor Who Season 1, the episode Empire of Death. And yeah, it's this time again, Doctor Who, the season has come to an end. It's disappointing, I wanted more episodes, but we have the finale to talk about. But before we get into that, just a couple of things I wanted to say. If you want to just see the review, just skip forward a couple of minutes. But I just wanted to say big thank you for 200 subscribers. We've passed that milestone, so big thank you for that. And also, the reason that the last review was kind of short was because, one, I was in a different location, and I am again in a different location, so this episode will be maybe a little bit shorter than the other reviews. But also I went to a Comic-Con near where I lived and got to meet the 13th Doctor, and she is so wonderful, she is so kind, so nice, and it was just such a great time to meet her, and got to see some other characters from Doctor Who and other TV programs, mostly Star Wars. It was just Comic-Con was just so great. Just wanted to share that, and the 13th Doctor, so amazing. But moving into the actual review, before we do, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get into Empire of Death. So, Empire of Death basically picks up right where the legend of Ruby Sunday left off from, and that is Susan Triad spreading the dust of Sutekh, the death of all things across the world, with the help of the other harbinger and subject of Sutekh, Harriet. And basically, it starts with the whole world being destroyed apart from Mal, the Doctor, and Ruby. So Mal and the Doctor basically venture back to UNIT to see if they can stop Sutekh from there, and the time window is still working for Ruby, which will become apparent later on in this episode. But the Doctor and Mal join her. However, the Doctor then realises in the time window that the TARDIS is more solid than anything else in the time window, something which he noticed earlier in last episode in the church on Ruby Road. So that draws good parallels as to how they can get away and how they can fight Sutekh. Because it is revealed that this TARDIS is the Memory Tardis from Tales of the TARDIS. And it's just because the whole time window is forged around Ruby's memories when she is remembering the TARDIS, so the Doctor tells her to focus on that TARDIS, and it makes her, remember, and it makes her remember the TARDIS, and the TARDIS becomes the Memory Tardis. And that is wonderful. However, casual fans will not know what Tales of the TARDIS is. They won't know what the Memory TARDIS is because they won't have been able to see Tales of the TARDIS. They won't have even known that was a thing. And I think audiences outside the UK didn't get Tales of the TARDIS because that was a solely BBC-produced production, not in conjunction with Disney or Disney+. So only the hardcore UK fans will know that what the Memory TARDIS is, and for it to be such a big plot point, it just feels like it should have been something more, it should have been available to everyone, and something that, casual fans could not miss, rather than kind of an obscure UK-only production, only released on BBC iPlayer of classic Doctor Who stories. Because casual fans won't want to watch that or even know that happened, and outside of the UK hardcore fans won't have been able to watch it. However, the Memory TARDIS is a big plot point, and I think that is a blunder in this episode. However, they don't get into the Memory TARDIS straight away, and that is because Sutekh ambushes them, because they return to UNIT, and he was already in UNIT, and he knows that they went to meet up with Ruby in the time window, so he ambushes them there, and the Doctor has a big speech about how he will stop Sutekh, and then it kind of fizzles out into, wait, why am I not dead yet? Like you are the god of death. Your gift is to bring death. So how come I am not dead yet? And that is something that, like of course, like why is he not dead yet? And it is revealed later in this episode that it is because of Ruby's mum. He cannot see Ruby. He cannot see Ruby's mum, just like how Ruby and the rest of the unit couldn't see her in the previous episode, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. But even Sutek, a god or a godlike alien, cannot see her. So he is keeping them alive so that they can basically, tell him who Ruby's mum is, and then he will know every living creature in the whole wide universe, or at least all the creatures that the Doctor has, on all the planets that the Doctor has ever visited. That is right. The reason why Susan Triad has been appearing throughout this series is because ever since Pyramid of Mars, Sutek has been clinging on to the Doctor's TARDIS and following him all throughout time and space. And that is just a shocking reveal. The Doctor thought he was so bright sending Sutek into the time vortex to his death. However, Sutek managed to locate the TARDIS just probably by luck, really, flying through the time vortex, and he clung onto it, evolving and changing to grow into this even more godlike status and becoming like this sort of like demon dog-like creature from what he was previously in the classic era in the episode The Pyramid of Mars. And it is amazing when the Doctor, Mal and Ruby escape from Sutek using the Memory Tardis, because he kind of lets them go because they can find out who Ruby's mum is, and he will then know who everyone in the whole wide universe is and who he is killing. I don't know why he wants to know everyone that he's killing, but apparently he does. So they manage to escape in the Memory Tardis, and the Doctor says, I thought I was so clever and it was just fun travelling through all these spaces, through all of time and space. However, I've doomed the universe, I've doomed the world, and really, Sutek, if he hadn't banished Sutek into the time vortex, he wouldn't have clung onto the to the TARDIS. He wouldn't have been causing all this death and destruction. But, really, what else could he have done in the Pyramid of Mars? Sutek was bound to come back sooner or later. He really should have seen that come in, that a godlike alien could sustain themselves in some way in the time vortex. And, yes, of course, in this episode he has come back. But you can see the hurt as the Doctor screams into the void of space he knows that it is all his fault. And he feels the death and pain of everyone who has died in this episode, which is basically almost everyone in the entire universe. And then we skip forward what has to be at least a couple of weeks, and we get this weird side quest where the Doctor visits this woman for a bit of metal, because the Memory Tardis, I don't know, needs it for some reason. I know it's the connection to the real world, but I don't know why it needs the connection to the real world. And then we get this kind of pointless side quest where this woman reveals that memories are dying, but we get the scene later where we know memories are dying, where Mal can't remember that her and the Doctor met Einstein, and it's just kind of weird. And then she reveals that she forgot that her baby died, and then that the death particle or whatever Sutek's god of death gift is can travel across families, and it can even go back from daughter to mother, which is why the woman dies, because her baby died. But it's all very weird, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't know. Anyway, the Doctor gets a spoon, which he uses to connect the Memory TARDIS to the real world, even though it could do everything else like it could travel in time and space already, so I don't know why it needed that. And then the Doctor and Ruby decide to look for Ruby's mother because Sutekh wanted to know who Ruby's mum is, and they think that could destroy him. And then the TARDIS scanner provides them with a way to fight Sutekh. It responds to Ruby and it shows her 2046. That is right, the main bulk of where 73 yards took place. And it shows Roger Aquillium and his plan to make it mandatory that every single person in the UK has to apply, to be noted down on a database. And like, this episode kind of glorifies that. And yeah, it's a good thing. Like, people can find, like, relatives who have maybe, like, got lost, like, wandered away from home, become homeless, and they can find them again. But it's also bad. Like, that means that the government and AI and stuff can just track you wherever you are. I know we are already kind of in this, but, I mean, that's not a good thing. But this episode glorifies that. But I don't want to get into that too much. The main thing is that they travel back to they travel forward to 2046 and they find Ruby's mum because everyone in the UK had to sign up to this database, so they find out who Ruby's mum is. And Sutekh, and then it is revealed that Sutekh has made Mal one of his servants, and she captures the Doctor and Ruby and takes them to Sutekh, who is still in Unit HQ. And Ruby seems like she's going to give the name of her mother to Sutekh. However, she smashes it before she gives it to Sutekh. And then the Doctor and Ruby tie up Sutekh like a dog. Yeah, that's how they defeat him. They tie him up like a dog and throw him into the time vortex, and then Sutekh brings his gift of death along death, and somehow that brings life. That has to be the stupidest Russell T Davies ending ever. Russell T Davies, as much as he is an excellent writer, he cannot do endings. Just look at, basically, Parting of the Ways. That was a deus ex machina of Rose Tyler, the bad wolf, saving the day. The Last of the Time Lords, the Doctor becomes a deus ex machina, space Jesus, to fly and destroy the Master if he so wished. And also then, in The Stolen Earth, Journey's End, Donna becomes a deus ex machina, Dr. Donna, to destroy the Daleks and their death particle. And then in The Star Beast, again, Rose Temple Noble becomes a deus ex machina to destroy, to stop the Meep. And then, in The Giggle, Bi-generation happens for some reason, and the Doctor easily manage to defeat Neil Patrick Harris's The Toymaker. Are you getting it yet? The thing is, Russell T Davies cannot do endings to finales. He just cannot. They become deus ex machinas, or really just feel underbaked. And this is the same thing with this episode. The deus ex machina of somehow having an intelligent rope and intelligent gloves that can, guide even Sutekh, and also then it being underwhelming because they just tie him up like a dog, because he looks like a dog. Like literally, that is what something, I watched this with my mum and dad, and even they commented on, can't they just, tie him up like a dog, or tame him like a dog? And that is literally what they do, which is funny, but he is the god of death, which has been brought up throughout this whole series. He has been hiding ever since the 70s, and he is just defeated like a dog. What? However, we can't dwell on that because it does happen. They tie him up like a dog, drag him across the time stream, and bring death to death, which somehow brings life. Again, that doesn't make sense either. But, well, moving past that, life brings out, everyone comes back to life, Unit come back to life, Ruby's mum comes back to life, Ruby's grandmother comes back to life, Mrs. Flood comes back to life. Mrs. Flood. There is something going on with her, but I will come back to that at the end of this video. So, everyone comes back to life, and then the Doctor goes, now I have to destroy you, Sutekh. And he releases him into the time vortex, which somehow kills him, even though the fourth Doctor released him into the time vortex, and that just made him more powerful. So, I don't get how releasing him once into the time vortex can make him extremely powerful, and the other one can kill him. I mean, if I'm missing something, please write it down in the comments below. But I am really struggling to find out how this all works. So, then, since the Doctor and Ruby have defeated Sutekh by burning him up in the time vortex somehow, and then rejoining Unit with everyone in the universe saved, like even the other planets, like we saw Skaro, Telos, the Oodsphere being destroyed by Sutekh, they are all back. So, the Doctor has saved the universe yet again. However, there is still, well, one major mystery left to be solved, and that is Ruby's mother. However, they found on the database back in 2046 who Ruby's mum was, and Unit helped track her down, and then we flash to where Ruby's mum is, and yeah, she's just a normal woman, and like even Ruby comments, how is it possible that she is just an ordinary woman? And the Doctor goes, oh, because we made her special. Again, something else that does not make sense. Yes, you can think everyone is special. You can think your significant other is special. You can think your parents are special. You can think your dog is special. It doesn't make them actually special in the whole scheme of the universe. I am sorry, but I am just struggling here to come up with a reasonable explanation for all of this. It does not make sense. Sutekh is a god, and he couldn't see Ruby's mother because Ruby thought she was special? What? No, I feel like I am having a literal breakdown with this episode. I am sorry that it's getting so ranty and rambly, but I please, if anyone can make sense of this episode, please put it down in the comments below, because I am struggling with this. And I feel like I am leaving so many things out because I just don't get it. However, Ruby connects with her mum because the Doctor brings her to where she is at this point in 2024 because Unit tracked her down, and she reconnects with her mother, who comes back with her to London and says that she's sorry for abandoning her as a baby, and she thought about reaching out every year, but she didn't, so she's kind of an asshole, really. But yeah, and then Ruby kind of disregards her foster mum Carla, to focus on her real mum, which I kind of get, but Ruby's kind of being an asshole. And then also the Doctor is an asshole, because when Ruby reveals to the Doctor that she has to leave travelling with him because they found her dad, and Ruby gives this real tearful goodbye and says that she loves the Doctor, and the Doctor literally turns his back. And I know that is because his hearts are breaking, but he literally said to Ruby made him better because he could be more open with his emotions, but wasn't it the reason that he was more open with his emotions because the 14th Doctor went through therapy in the giggle? So how is that to do with Ruby? And then if Ruby did make him better, why is he keeping his emotions to himself at the end of this episode? I mean, bit of consistency, please. And also, another thing wrong with the goodbye is that we already know that Ruby is going to be in some episodes in Season 2. So we know that we are going to see her again very soon. So it completely undercuts the dramatic goodbye. That is such a pivotal problem with Doctor Who filming so far in advance. We already know what's going to happen mostly in relation to, like, major things in season 2. So, like, that undercuts the whole emotional way. I did feel myself getting a bit emotional and then just thinking, oh wait, she's in the next season. And it just undercut it for me. And then we get to the biggest mystery. Mrs. Flood. She narrates the end of this episode. She has been breaking the fourth wall ever since the church on Ruby Road. And yet she breaks the fourth wall yet again. She narrates the ending, saying this is the end of the church on Ruby Road. However, what will happen to the Doctor? Well, his story ends in terrible pain and anguish. And it is just chilling. That is really chilling. That part was actually the best part of the episode, which is disappointing. The defeat of Sutekh should have been the most powerful, chilling thing in this episode. But it's Mrs. Flood. So hopefully her story is probably going to get resolved next season, season 2. So yeah, that seems like that is going to be, well, something hopefully better than how they defeated Sutekh, something hopefully better than Sutekh, because it has been revealed throughout last episode and this episode that she has her own plans on destroying the Doctor. So, hopefully, Mrs. Flood will be a big, bad, immense villain that they don't drop the ball with, unlike Sutekh. So, that is it. Sorry it's a bit negative, but really, I can't give Empire of Death more than a 5 out of 10 for this episode, because it was just bad. Well, bad is a tough word. It was just underwhelming. There were so many things to be brought up in a good, conclusive way. And I think Russell T Davies couldn't bring them up and tie them together in a good way. He did tie them all together and solve all the mysteries apart from who Mrs. Flood is. However, it wasn't in a satisfying way. But again, what would have been a satisfying payoff to Ruby's mum and the God of Death? I think it was too big a task for one man. But, hey, why am I saying this when one woman saved this episode? But that is just my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. Also subscribe. And I will see you next time for a wrap-up of the whole of Doctor Who Season 1. See you then.